Hello everyone, welcome to Her Voice. For those who miss me, I have not been feeling fine, but I am back and we go back full swing. So, there's the rise of de-dollarization all over the globe, especially in the global south. But what does this mean to actually de-dollarize the globe? It actually means not that people want to get rid of the US currency, but that people just want to trade more in their currencies or in other currencies that they feel comfortable with. For example, if I want to buy goods from Russia, I should be able to trade in the Russian currency. The Russian ruble is the ruble, the Russian currency. If someone in Russia wants to buy goods from me in Ghana, in Nigeria, they should be able to trade with me in my currency rather than they have to go through the dollar before I convert that into my currency. It's either you gain or you lose. But what does this do? It helps the owner of the currency which you're trading on to make their economy more powerful because they are seen as a global standard and that's what everyone wants. But when the dollar has been used to weaponize the globe, people start getting scared of it. When the dollar has been used to put a lot of sanctions on other countries, people start getting scared of it. When the dollar has been used to commit regime changes in other countries, then people start getting scared of it. Also, when the dollar has been used to either freeze your assets or take your assets completely, such as the case going on with Russia, where the European Union just decided that Russia has been banking using their currency and they just decided to take that money away. That's a sovereign nation's money. But because you don't like the president of that country and they are trading in your currency, then you have that authority or that power to take the money away, forgetting that the inhabitants of that area have nothing to do with what is going on. So the dollar has been weaponized a lot. And this is making people scared of using the dollars. And many countries just want to get rid of the dollar. Now we'll take a special case with one of the main de-dollarization that has gone on in recent time, especially in Africa, Kenya. So what the Kenyan government decided to do is they went ahead with China and they told the Chinese, we want to trade with you, but we want to do this with your currency. So they converted their loan, the loan they have with the Chinese, from dollars to the Chinese currency. This has actually saved the government of Kenya a lot of money. Now I will explain to you how this happens. The debt hasn't changed. For example, if Kenya was owing $1 billion US, what this means is $1 billion US is converted to the amount, the equivalent of the Chinese currency. Now, this is where we start looking at exchange rates. We know about the fluctuations going on around with the exchange, especially when it comes to the dollar. Today, $1 can cost the Kenyans about 150 Kenyan shilling, or tomorrow it might be 170 Kenyan shillings. That puts a lot of pressure on the government, especially when they are doing trade, and then there's that flip or that inconsistency in the. It means a debt of almost $1 billion can overnight turn into $1.5 billion, and they have actually nothing to do about it. Whereas if they are trading with China in the Chinese currency, there is little or no way that fluctuation can happen. It means the exchange from one shilling to one Chinese yuan, it's stable. But the exchange rate of one shilling to one US dollar, it's not stable. It fluctuates, and it fluctuates a lot. It's not like it fluctuates twice a year or 3 times a year. No, you can get up today, the dollar has risen, tomorrow the dollar has fallen. That's not good for business. But if there is that stability, then it makes sense for them to trade in that currency. So the equivalent of the dollar value was converted to the Chinese currency value, and now the exchange rate is stable for them. They know they can come up with a payment plan on how they can pay back that money, which is something I think each and every country needs at the moment. The next thing we have to look at is the less circulation of US dollars, especially in Africa. When it comes time to pay these debts, it is so difficult for African countries to have US dollars or to get into their reserves and get US dollars to pay back these debts. So that causes a lot of friction and a lot of tension among the government. They go ahead to buy the US dollars at very high rate just because they need to make that payment and they don't want to have a default on their payment. This itself increases your debt not only by the exchange rates that you see, but the lack of that circulation means that you're going into the black market or into whatever what you want to get that US dollar, and you're not buying it again at the market price. You're buying that dollar at a price that is sometimes outrageous. This has actually quadrupled your debt even some more, and people fail to understand that this the government officials are going through when they need to pay back this debt. So the Chinese sees as, oh, we want $1 billion. Doesn't matter where you get the $1 billion for, but maybe we have bought the $1 billion for maybe 1.5 billion. It is none of their business. The middleman has taken his $500 million, and then country is indebted. So the fact that the US currency doesn't circulate a lot in African countries, it's a major problem. And then we have the issue of the SWIFT transactions and the SWIFT tariffs that put in left, right, and center. I call them tariffs because they are actually taxes that you have to pay on from your money moving from one region to another. Paying a simple of $1,000 using the SWIFT transaction will give you about 30% increase or charges that you have to pay. Whoever is receiving that money, on the other hand, doesn't care what those charges are. They just need to receive the money. You, the person paying the money, it's heavy on you because you have to pay not only $1,000, but now $1,300 to complete the debt of $1,000. So these and many other factors are why many people are looking at not using the US dollars for trade, especially if they are not trading with the US. Yes, if you're trading with the US, you have to pay them in their currency. That is a fact. But if you're not trading with the US, if you're trading with China, with Russia, with Malaysia, with Taiwan, whatever country you're trading with, you need to be able to use their currency. So it's easy for you so that you don't get into a burden of how you have to buy another man's currency and pay another person. That is like robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you are the one suffering because it's a burden on you. So these and many more are the reasons why many countries should stop using the US dollars, especially countries of the global south. And then we have the issue of regime changes, sanctions, and all whatnot. Once you have your reserve currency your reserve resources in another person's currency, or maybe saved in another person's bank, because that's the next thing. You want to put it in a SWIFT bank, you want to put it in a bank that you feel is protected, your money is going to yield you interest. Then there comes the situation where if they're not happy with your regime, if you're not doing something for them, which is always the case, they can seize that money. This has happened with Iran. Russia, even as a powerhouse, has had this happen to them. So what about the other small African countries who don't have a voice of their own? That is seen as a disadvantage when using the US dollars. So do I really think people should stop using the US dollars, or the US dollar is just going to go out of existence at the moment? I would practically say no. The US dollar, it's good for countries to have a stable currency. It's good for the globe to have a stable currency. But when the currency has been weaponized so many times, you tend to not trust the currency or the owners of the currency. And this is what has led many people to this point where They are just like, no, we don't want to use the US dollar anymore. It's not good for trading if it's weaponized. It's not good for the country itself. You have to pay more for a single loan that you have taken. And many people don't see that stress or being put on the country because, like, what can you say? If you have that explanation, you really cannot understand. But then, trading using the Chinese yuan also has other risks attached to it. It's not only a swap of currency and it's a better currency, especially if you're trading with them, but it comes with its own risks. It means you're more embedded now to the Chinese than with the Americans. Many people in Africa say they haven't seen any Chinese colonize Africa or any Chinese enslave Africans, which is true. But the Chinese also have some shady businesses that they do around the globe, which many people are not happy with it. We all know they're doing their best to take care of that, but it's still to be seen. So, we see similar moves by the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. All these alternative payment systems to promote local trade currency. We know about PAP, which is the Pan-African settlement system, which actually settle money around Africa without using the SWIFT settlement system. So using currencies has led to a lot of innovations, especially within Africa. A lot of mobile apps are coming up where you're supposed to send money from Nigeria to Cameroon, Cameroon to Chad, Chad to Morocco, just doing business. It's always good when the rates are cheaper. When you're settling within Africa and you're doing so in your currency, it makes a whole lot of sense. And also, this will promote a lot of trade in Africa as a whole. For example, if you're trading with someone in South Africa, you don't need to go around and looking for dollars to come buy their goods. You just have to trade with their currency. So I see this as a major win for the global South, which I encourage. So am I for de-dollarization? I would say yes. I am for de-dollarization because it helps the global South. But if the Americans can stop weaponizing their currency, then it will be good to have the dollar as a trading currency. If it's kept stable, if it doesn't interfere, if it doesn't, if it's not racist, if my dollar is not racist, then yes, we can use it. Because there is no way you will tell me that dollar doesn't circulate more in Africa, where all the rich resources are available. We have a shortage of dollars in Africa, and that doesn't have to do because it is Africa. There's no way you can tell me anything otherwise. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this? Is it a great move for African countries to start trading in their currency? If you think so, please keep a comment and see you next time. Bye.